Welcome to O People of the Book YouTube channel.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
O People of the Book YouTube channel.
نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم هيا قصائد سائلي قلب النوى ليس الشبم هيا قصائد سائلي قلب النوى ليس الشبم
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the O People of the Book weekly meeting, should I say, session, yeah, about from monogamy to polygamy. I'd like to remind you that, again, because we're in the last 10 days of Ramadan, so you have me in the morning here now, and inshallah after Ramadan we will adjust the time again. Yeah, so I hope you're having a fruitful Ramadan, because now, like Ramadan is nearly finishing. We're in the last 10 days, and we just have to benefit what is available at the moment, and I hope you are benefiting from it, your du'as, your amals, and everything that you are doing. Just give me 1 second, please. I have to put this out. I forgot while I was just bring down, just 1 second. Okay, so anyway, I hope you're hearing me. Let me just check the sound and see if the sound is going out. Yeah, let me just see. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let me see if the sound is going out because I was whatever I was doing. Usually I come online and sometimes the sound is not working, and I carry on talking for so long until somebody comes online and reminds me or whatever. So I don't want to keep doing this every time. So let's see. Okay, just wait a minute. Let the YouTube start and. Right. Okay. So confirmed. It's working. Okay. So anyway, since the topic is from monogamy to polygamy, there are certain issues that we need to touch on. Now, this I suppose should have been my first show that I had done from the beginning, but it does happen that you know. Yeah, yeah. So it does happen that sometimes by doing the show, as I'm going through things, and as I'm communicating with people as well, interacting with people as well, new things are coming in, and trying to make them understand, trying to help them understand the issue of polygyny and everything. So I thought to myself, let's do this show in a different way in the beginning. Start it differently. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He revealed the Quran to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the revelation came in different ways. There were different reasons for the revelation, the asbab al-nuzul. Now, in the beginning, obviously, because they were in Mecca. They didn't have a state yet, yeah. So it was only, mainly the surahs that were the chapters, the surahs and the surahs and the verses that contained things that would increase the iman. Allah was preparing them for the hijrah. So obviously, what was coming down was mainly the stories of the stories of the ancient qawms and what they went through, and the promises that Allah had made them and stuff like that, the stories of Bani Israel and everything, and Adam alayhi salam and all that stuff, and um, the laws hadn't come in yet. So there was these stuff. Then as things went along, now Allah also revealed the what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. You know, our destination and things that we don't know about. Allah's revealing things that we don't know about, the skies, the moon, all that type of stuff. All this was part of the revelation. When when the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba moved to Medina, now it was the time to start sending start revealing the laws as well, because you're in a state and you have to have laws. Now the laws in the Sharia, okay, the laws part of the Sharia had when Allah is revealing the Sharia. Now there's an ayah of the Quran here which says. This is no, sorry, yeah. This is not sorry. It's not an ayah of the Quran, but it is a hadith by Abu Dawood, classed as Sahih by Sheikh Al Albani. It says here, "Verily, I have been given the book and something like it with it." But soon as a man will be lying, replete on his couch, and he will say, "You should adhere to this Quran. Whatever you find permitted in it, take it as permissible. Whatever you find forbidden in it, take it as forbidden. Verily, meat of the tame donkeys is not permissible for you, nor is the meat of every animal who has fangs. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran talks about what is permissible for us and what is not permissible for us, and He also talks about what is forbidden and what is not forbidden. Allah had forbidden a few things, like it says here, talks about the tame donkeys and everything, and Sahaba, when they received these ayats, sami'na wa ata'na. They didn't question. They didn't waste time. They went on and acted upon them. So there was the permissible, among others. There was the permissible and the forbidden. We will go through the permissible and the forbidden in order to be able to understand the issue of what we're talking about. Now, among the forbidden and among the permissible, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, sent the laws of prohibition of alcohol, the khamar, and not just alcohol, but khamar, everything that was intoxicating. Now, when these laws were sent, they were sent in stages. Okay, and sorry, it's early morning here anyway. So yeah, they were sent in stages, and when they were sent in stages, Sahaba obeyed them because they were there were already laws that were from there before, but there needed to be control over them. The previous nation were able to take in intoxicants to a certain level, but then Allah now is controlling it, and Allah is forbidding it completely. It comes through control, and don't take it when you enter the masjid and stuff like that, when you're praying, and then total ban on it. Yeah. So Allah in His wisdom knows what He is permitting and what He's banning. Now, but what is permitting? What is prohibiting? Now, obviously, there are certain things that was not good for us. For example, what we eat and what we drink. These were prohibited, and we know that. And then what we accepted, there are other things as well. Now, among the prohibited, the reason why Allah had prohibited them, when He talks about alcohol, is because there's an ounce of good in them, but most of it is bad. Okay, so there is a little bit of good in them. Sometimes you can use it for medicine or whatever, and there's a bit of good, but otherwise the majority of them is bad. So Allah forbids it. Allah, out of His wisdom, forbids it. Okay, so if there was any good in it, Allah would not have forbidden it. I hope you get my where I'm getting to now. Now, something else that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala had forbidden is temporary marriage, muta. Okay, let me tell you what muta is. Okay, we'll go through a book here just briefly by somebody called Maulana Hafiz Muhammad Iqbal Ranguni. Okay, I chose this book because this was the only book that I had on muta. Now, muta is temporary marriage. Okay, and it was actually halal before. It's temporary marriage where, whenever the Sahaba used to go out in battle and or travel somewhere, they were able to marry a wife for a while, and then divorce her. So she didn't have dignity. She didn't have she was just temporary, basically. So it says here in the book, the death of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the death of chastity and modesty, which has been caused by the Western propagation of the intermingling of sexes, has been aptly described by Allama Iqbal among almost a quarter of a century ago. Okay, so he's kind of having a discourse here with the Iranians, and he's with the Shia. I don't want to go into the Shia fiqh and all that, like, it's not what I'm using this for. But I will mention a few things. Yeah, in his book here, he says, according to the Iranians, in order to save Iranian society, muta' will have to be practiced. Okay. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade that already in the Quran. It is already forbidden, but they're still practicing. Okay, those who are unmarried. This is what's her name? The what do you call it? Ayatollah Rasfanjani, who mentioned those who are unmarried have been given the permission to perform muta'. Islam permits the practice. He's saying Islam permits it. Islam doesn't permit it. Yeah, Islam had forbidden it. I'm just giving you these ideas now. About what is forbidden and what is permitted. Then he goes on to say in the book, the noble status of Islam, of women in Islam, the qualities of honor and chastity are such jewels which have been passed down through the generations, even after years. One should still not be able to fully appreciate it. Its value so immense that the wealthiest of the world are incapable of purchasing it. Whoever has not safeguarded his honor and chastity has destroyed the main qualities which make him human. It is for that reason that the noble Quran and Hadith have emphasized on the protection of our honor and chastity, and inculcating within oneself the qualities of shame and modesty. In addition, an act, saying or movement which opposes one's honor and chastity has been declared haram in the Sharia. Okay, so since we're talking of Sharia, we're talking of forbidden, we're talking of accepted and everything. He mentions about that now. Yeah, that it's forbidden. Allah forbade it out of His wisdom. We're going to go clear and more into mut'a now to see why Allah forbade it, and in comparison to polygyny. Yeah? Honor and chastity in the light of the Quran. The importance of honor and chastity can be gauged by the manner in which the noble Quran describes its importance. If at any time any Nabi was falsely accused of any act which might stain his honor or chastity, the noble Quran addressed the allegation and testified the Nabi's innocence and purity. Quran itself testified to the purity of Nabi Yusuf, Yahya, Sayyidina Maryam, and Sayyidina Aisha, plus all the other prophets. I mean, if you read the non-Muslims books, you see how they degrade the prophets and everything, committed zina, committed this, committed that, and whatever. And the Quran comes to set the record straight, okay? Especially when it comes in honor and chastity. Honor and chastity in the light of Hadith. Now, honor and chastity had such value in the eyes of Rasulullah SAW that he would make every man and woman vow when pledging their allegiance to him that they will not commit zina. Okay, that was very important. That was something very, very important. Zina was very important, which would destroy the honor and chastity, which would destroy their honor and chastity. There are numerous narrations in the treasury of Hadith, which contain the instruction of guidance of Rasulullah through various methods to hold fast to the qualities of honor and chastity. We're going through this now because I want to make a comparison. I want to make a comparison between what Allah has forbidden and what Allah has, in His wisdom, made permissible. Okay, so yeah, so when Heraclius, the emperor of Rome, asked Abu Sufyan about the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he orders us to perform salah, give sadaqah, and to remain chaste and join family ties. See, so Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized a lot on this issue of being chaste and everything. Now, what is muta'? Yeah, we're going to go through that now. What are its virtues? What are its prices? So, in order for you to know that Allah in the Quran there was forbidden and there was the permissible, and Allah in His wisdom uh, forbade it. At this point, I'd like you to understand one thing, which is that muta is the opposite of honor and chastity. Okay, and the way of destroying shame and modesty. It is impossible to determine how many young girls lost their innocence as a result of announcement by the Iranian president, how many women destroyed their chastity as a result of it, and the sense of honor of how many individuals destroyed, and how far reaching it will be its consequences. Okay, so we can see now what Muta had done to the to women basically, and why Allah had strictly forbidden it. So we scroll down anyway, and we get to the point where okay, we get to the point where that was an introduction to it. Okay, now yeah, okay. So he goes into that was just a preface. He goes into the introduction and he mentions majority of people are shocked as to how a shameless and disgusting act such as muta has found its way into the noble teachings of Islam, which is the best and most elevated of life, which Rasulullah was sent to complete the best of characters. However, those who have made research into the subject know fully well that when the Persian and Roman empires fell, the Muslims, under the leadership of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Umar bin Khattab al-Faruq, the enemies of Islam donned the garments of hypocrisy and cowardly plotted against Umar radiallahu anh, and Islam. And one of their plots is the act known as muta. Okay, so it goes on and it explains that, like, how they worked against it and everything. Okay, how they worked against Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh. Now we just go through this. What's the name? What the Orientalists say. The impartial opinion of the famed Orientalist Brown. One reason for the enmity which the non-Arabs have for Khalifa Umar bin Khattab from among the Khulafa Rashidin is that he was the conqueror of their lands. Even though this hatred was displayed in the form of religion, the reality becomes apparent. These wretched individuals had outwardly embraced Islam, but they still remained faithful to their old Zoroastrian ways. Before Iran was conquered by the Muslims, the Sassanid Empire ruled Iran, where Zoroastrians, fire worshippers. Those customs and practices were among the Sassanids was slowly given the Islamic name until the period of time where a new sect formed under the guise of Islam, whose sole purpose was to undertake was to take revenge upon the Muslim conquerors. And an entire new religion was formulated, which fundamental principles are as follows. The Quran has been distorted and altered. This created doubts in the Quran, which inevitably shakes the foundation of the Deen. The bare minimum of Arabs, especially those Sahaba who aided in the conquest of Iran, made it an Islamic empire. And number three, among the Muslims, to associate love only those who are related to blood by Sassanid. Okay, this is what's the name? This is irrelevant. Number four says they regard taqiyya, dissimulation, and muta', yeah, ariyatul farj, and marriage to one's own blood relation as the highest of ibadah and worship. Okay. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that haram, but they are still practicing it. Now, what I'm trying to point out here is that this is something that Allah has forbidden. Okay, He goes on further down to say the level of shame and modesty is such that Rasulullah has declared muta'a nikah mu'akkad, which is temporary marriage, to be perpetually haram. Okay, now we get to the point now where where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has made it clear that this is haram. Regarding the first type of mutam, nikah muaqqat, it can be said that this was permissible for a brief period in Islam, but to say that the Iranian version of muta was permissible for even a short while is an indictment of the noble status of Muslims. Okay, of Islamic morals. Okay. Okay, one should understand that the word muta has dual meaning, which is also used when referring to nikah muaqqat, temporary marriage, which has the same conditions as a conventional marriage, such as presence of a witness, public announcement, the right of inheritance of the spouse were to pass on during the period. The only difference is that nikah muaqqad, the time period of the nikah had been stipulated. At other times, the word muta is used to referring to physical relationship where there is no need for witnesses, public announcement, nor is one allowed to inherit or accepted. In other words, this is also called zina. Okay, so Allah, out of His greatness, out of His wisdom, found that this is not acceptable, and He forbade it. Now, on the contrary, on the other side, Allah didn't forbid them polygyny. If polygyny was that bad, we get our brothers and sisters today in discussion where, like, trying to make polygyny seem so taboo, and like, so that's why I'm making that difference. So again, I go back to this thing about it being forbidden. The level of shame and modesty in Islam is such that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam declared muta nikah muaqqat to be perpetually haram. And Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu says that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam declared donkey meat and nikah muta as haram on the day of Khaybar. Okay, so it is clear. It is haram. Okay, and this is like, a marriage contract that they make, which is temporary. You can make a marriage contract with them, like it mentions how it destroyed the lives of so many people and everything. And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, out of His wisdom, out of His glory, knows what is good for us and what is bad for us, what is a sin, and it goes on. It goes on this book now to mention Islam prohibited sin in stages. Okay, like we mentioned earlier on, the issue of alcohol, not alcohol, but the khamar itself, because khamar is not just alcohol, it's the intoxicants. It came in stages, yeah, and Allah abandoned it little by little. Yeah, and when it came to the final stage, that's it. It was because these laws were there before the coming of Islam, and Islam came to control everything. In a similar light, the order of hijab, which among the decrees of Allah, this too was only revealed later. The manner of Islam during these days was to prohibit in stages. The prohibition of wine was not made all at once as well, but was first referred to be disliked income, and only later was labeled haram. Okay, now the most detested sins in Islam are gambling, consuming wine, backbiting, false testimony, stealing, and zina. Okay, so all these are mentioned in the book. If you can get the book, like, for those of you who do have conversations with the Rafidis, it is a good book to find and go through. So Allah, out of His wisdom, He declared this haram. Even though nikah muaqqat was against the moral standard of Islam, it was not prohibited at once. Yeah, it went against the noble status of women as well. Yet it was forbidden for some time. There was clear distinction between nikah muaqqat and zina. But Islam wanted to elevate the status of man even to greater heights. It permitted nikah muaqqat when one was out on a long journey or out in a battle for extended periods of time, but was prohibited in Mecca when one was at home engaged in his daily routine. Muslims were advised, okay, and those who safeguard their private organs from adultery, fornication, and other illicit act, except when it comes to their spouses and the slave women whom they own, they will surely not be blamed about cohabiting with them. Whoever seeks more than this by fulfilling their desires in a manner which is not shari, which shari forbids, then such person are transgressors. Okay, so we can see now, what we're talking about, and this was Surah Al-Mu'minun, chapter 5 to 7. So I'm trying to make you understand now that out of Allah's wisdom, there are things that He permitted and things that He forbade, and the act. If polygyny, let's get back to this now. If polygyny was so bad for us, like I mentioned to you, the reason why khamar was forbidden, it was because it had more bad than good. Same thing with with mata. You know, it had more bad than good. The degradation of women and stuff like that. Like, they were used, and they didn't have their rights and inheritance and everything. So there was good of it, because the time when the Prophet ﷺ, allowed it, when Allah allowed it, these people who are going traveling or whatever, they had their wife could look after their possessions. It says in this book here that the wife could look after their possessions and everything. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala found the bad in it overshadowing the good. Yeah. This is a point that I wanted to make clear, because a lot of sisters, when you talk to them, the way they actually take it is that it's something bad, and shouldn't be allowed and stuff like that, and so Allah's decision to them was wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not wise. They are wiser than Allah to make this to not like this. So this is why, like, I wanted to go through this to make you understand that when the revelation came, there was permissible, and there was forbidden. Permissible and forbidden were clear, black and white. Halal bayyin wa haram bayyin. It was clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His wisdom in the protection for women, now when what's her name was forbidden, muta was forbidden, in order to protect women now. That was degrading women. In order to protect women now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them polygyny halal. So why now do we have to have discussions over it? Why now do we have to have fights over it? Why now do a lot of people have to shun it, and a lot of women would say, like, I would prefer to die than enter in a polygynous marriage and stuff like that. Like, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it clear, haram bayyin wa halal bayyin, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has showed us which is halal and which is haram. The fact that He has accepted it, like I showed you earlier on, the things that He didn't accept. Muta was so bad that it had to be, it wasn't something that Islam invented. It was already there, and because it was already there, then obviously there had to be rules and everything to regulate it. And it reached a point that even after regulating, it had to be banned. Otherwise, where it's being practiced today, they abuse it. They abuse it so much that a lot of young girls and everything lose their dignity from very young. I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at, because the thing is, for a lot of people, there doesn't seem to be a difference. Yeah, it's banned. It's like the way they take polygyny is as if it's something that Allah had banned and it shouldn't be allowed or whatever. So anyway, let's get back to the core stuff. Another thing I wanted to point out to you is that, yeah, there's I keep going to these articles and books and everything. There is an article from the Moscow Times which came out sometime in 2019. Legalizing polygamy will guarantee women's rights in Russia. Moscow's Muslim leader says. Okay. Now, you have to understand one thing now. Although the West is trying to crush down Islamic belief, trying to crush down polygyny and everything, they are feeling the crunch. They are feeling it. They are feeling how, like, yes, Islam is right. You know. So this article now mentions, okay, okay. Russia can overcome its gender-related issues by legalizing polygyny. The leader of Moscow's Muslim has said, polygyny. Well, he says polygamy, but I'll take it as polygyny here. Is the practice of taking more than one spouse frowned upon by an overwhelming majority of Russians, while polygamy is not permitted under Russian law. It remains commonplace in the country's predominantly Muslim republics of the North Caucasus. So we see that you know uh, it is forbidden under the law itself. However, it is common practice in the areas. Now it says here 90% of Russians oppose polygamy. The poll shows legalizing polygamy would not guarantee women's rights. Idar Aliyah to Dinov, the Mufti of Moscow, was quoted as saying, by the state-run RIA Novosti agency, pointing to the official data that shows that women outnumbering men by 10 million in Russia. He states, yeah, sorry, I read it wrong here. Yeah, legalizing polygamy would guarantee women's rights, would guarantee women's rights, pointing to official data that shows that women outnumbering men by 10 million in Russia. He stated the importance of legislative level protective mechanism for women to become fully fledged second wives. See, so this is for protecting women now. Russia is trying to kind of like give the world lessons taken from Islam. Polygamy will help solve many social woes. Additionally, there will be much less sinfulness and fornication that's spreading so rapidly. He quoted. Okay, so we see now that he is mentioning that the amount of sin that polygyny can save people from. Yeah, and because it's spreading so rapidly. Okay, so the Chechen officials called to legalize polygamy stirs social debate. Aliu sorry, I'm butchering his name here. Alayudinov's controversial comment follow Russia's Grand Mufti Ravil Gainuddin telling state television Monday that men in the country, majority Muslim region, should be allowed multiple wives to tackle cheating. See? So that's a solution now. To tackle cheating, instead of the men cheating, we've spoken about this before, rather than let the men go out and cheat, well, Allah has presented us with the legal, the halal solution. You know, legalize polygyny, and the West don't want that. The West and the East and wherever, like they don't want that. They don't want to legalize what is haram, what is halal. Because if they legalize what is halal, then they'll be losing a lot of money in the pornography pornography industry, they'll be losing a lot of money in the prostitution in the industry as well. Because if every man was allowed to have legal wives, then he'll be having wives instead of mistresses, instead of prostitutes and everything. And I think I've read before the book Wives Instead of rather wives than mistresses. Yeah. Uh, yeah, legal polygamy would open a Pandora's box. Irene Cora, the executive secretary of the president of Human Rights Council, told Novosti on Wednesday. The United Nations Convention on Ending Discrimination on Women said that polygamy should be discouraged and outlawed because such marriages are unequal and negative to the impact of women and children. Now they are looking at polygyny on the basis of, like, when they look at Mormonism, for example, right? Polygyny in Mormonism. Um, a man can have as many wives as he wants. There is no conditions. Children all live in the same place and everything. There's no regulations on it. These people now who have encountered that are the ones who are fighting of banning polygyny. But on the other side, where you have the Muslim clerics and everything, they are seeing the advantage of it. They are fighting for not just for the Muslims, but for the whole country, to bring back polygyny, to avoid cheating and stuff like that. Now, this was an article that I picked up, and I found it had relevance to this, so I decided to share it with all of us. So, legalizing polygamy will guarantee women's rights in Russia. Okay, because Islam has already given Islam has already given the rights to the other wife. Okay, and we understand that. Anyway, so let's get back to the book now. We had stopped last time at number 2, page 79. Okay, this is talking about dissecting polygyny. And we start with number 3. Sharing love may cause intense reaction in most women. The combination of anger, feeling betrayed, and hurt tends to lend to a form of depression. Some women may exhibit some form of obsessiveness. Don't go anywhere. Don't talk on the phone. Pay attention only to me. See, so we see that, a lot of women, the first thing they think about is sharing love. Whenever a woman talks about polygyny, it's not they don't think the responsibilities the husbands are going to be taking. They don't think of what's good and what's bad or whatever. All they think about is sharing love. That's what they're thinking of another woman in bed with their husband. Okay. Sharing love. Okay. Being distraught is a result of the woman's feeling trapped, not knowing what to do or how to proceed, and feeling alienated. Now that was love, her sharing her love. She cannot share her love. Now, what about sharing sex? Number 4, sharing sex will often cause contradictory feelings. The woman can be selfish and not want to share her husband's sexual attention. Here, you could also say that sex love, on the other hand, she can be competitive, not wanting to be outdone by another woman in the bedroom. She also tends to be reassured by her husband's touch that he still loves her. He still loves and desires her. Yeah, one thing that we must point out here. I think I pointed this out in one of the groups, one of the Facebook groups. Sorry, throat gets dry in Ramadan, and you cannot drink water or anything. Is that the husband has to make the wife feel loved? If you want to go and take another wife, then that's not a big deal. But you can't make your first wife feel them unloved. You have to be able to make her feel loved, and feel that if he's able to give me so much love, then he won't do injustice to me. Okay, that's how she must feel. But if she's being made to feel that, like, you don't love her anymore, you know, and she's going to feel that she's outdone. There's a lot of sisters who've come into these groups and mentioned brothers who've taken them new wives, and the new wife kind of, like, is haughty and, like, arrogant to the first wife, and then stuff like that, as if, like, I'm better than you, and, like, you know I can outdo you, like we read in the book, when in the book, rather, Wives and the Mistresses. The mistress of Francois Mitterrand, she made it clear. That she made it clear that what Mitterrand's wife couldn't give to him, she could. He would come to her when his wife was not pleasuring him, and she would replace that. So we can see now that, like, on the other hand, she can be competitive, not wanting to be outdone by another woman in the bedroom. She also tends to be reassured by her husband, such that he still loves and desires her. Okay, so that feeling, there's that feeling of not being wanted. Sharing children means more than one wife will give birth to the husband's children, brings out the fear that the other children will be smarter, cuter, and that they will cause a loss of time and love. The sharing of children also makes sharing of sex stark reality, and may again cause feelings of neglect, estrangement, abandonment, betrayal, and grief. Now, this is interesting, actually, because when you read the Bible, it mentions Sarah, uh, alayhi salam, the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Why, according to the Bible, did they don't mention that it was Allah's plan, and, like, the issue of Islam coming from Ismail alayhi salam. They don't mention that was the reason why Ibrahim alayhi salam brought his children to. Brought his wife and child, Ismail alayhi salam, to Mecca. They mention that it was jealousy, from one child to the other, that one child will be smarter. Now, according to what they said in the Bible, that Ismail alayhi salam was kind of mocking Ishaq alayhi salam, as if, like, I'm the oldest one, and according to the laws of the Bible, I should inherit more than you, and stuff like that. These are their version of it. Okay, we know that's not the cause, and this is the reason, according to them, that Sarah radiallahu anha got jealous and told Ibrahim alayhi salam to take his wife away. So for this cause, there's some animosity between them, the wives, because the children, like, and one side of the children may be smarter or whatever, and so the sharing of the children also brings the stark reality of sex, and may again be a cause feeling of neglect, estrangement, abandonment, betrayal, and grief. Sharing finances, this is very important here now. Yeah, this is very important, because, like, obviously we have to be able to afford to share the finances. If we cannot, then not to enter into such polygamous marriages. Sharing finances brings with it another equation. Money item is equal to love. The woman may think that the amount of money or number of items he gives to his new wife is an indication of his desires or love for her. She might also become concerned about his ability to provide adequate support for herself and her children. Now, one thing we have to realize here now, the first wife may already be established. Okay, she may already be established. She's got a roof over her head. She's got her children. The amount that you would be giving her to her would be different. The amount that she'd be needing would be different. Now, you take on another wife. Say you've taken a widow, and that widow, or divorcee or whatever. Talking about the divorcees, yeah, many people might think that I'm against divorces, but I'm not. Many sisters have although I talk a lot about sisters, like, initiating divorce themselves. There are many sisters out there who've married basically like swines for husbands, who treat them very badly. Excuse expression, but like treat them very badly. In the beginning, they show a good face. Unfortunately, a lot of sisters, when they fall in love, or like they don't let their parents vet that person. Sometimes that's the person they want, and they want him only, and then the parents feel okay that if that's the person you want, well, we'll marry you to him, and then he mistreats them. He mistreats the wife, so they request them for nikah, for khul. Other cases as well where you'll find that the reason why women ask for khul is that I think I mentioned that last time. Drug addiction. A lot of times before marriage, they don't know that the husband is addicted to certain drugs. Even the parents might not mention it sometimes. They want to get him, they want to get rid of him, they want to find him a wife. And a lot of families think that a woman can change a man. They think, though, he'll get married and he'll change or whatever. No, it's not like that. Not every woman can change a man. So again, she gets married, and the husband is on drugs, and he ends up being addictive, doesn't give her food, doesn't give her money. All his money goes into drugs and everything, and he becomes violent. And so that's another reason why a woman would request for divorce. And again, there's the case of abusive husbands. He might have an anger issue or whatever. He takes it all out on his wife. And in the West, a football match causes problems between couples. The man's watching his favorite team, and because they're allowed to drink, he's got all his beer in front of him or whatever alcohol he's got in front of him, and he's sitting down watching his favorite team, and his favorite team loses. And what does he do? He's drunk now. He goes and takes it out on his wife. I'm talking of the non-Muslim situation here, but there are Muslims who fall into that as well. They're abusive. So that's another reason why you find a lot of marriages breaking up. I'm learning things as I'm going along, because, like I said, I'm training to be a marriage counselor, and I'm getting the opportunity of learning many cases like this as we go along. It's not related to the book actually. This is something totally different. I'd just like to stop here for a minute and just mention that you're watching O People of the Book, and we're talking about the book from monogamy to polygyny. Have a close look at it, and if you can get the book, alhamdulillah. If you can't, then inshallah, you can follow what I'm talking about here. Yeah. So please like, subscribe, and share. Yeah. And please, increase the amount of subscribers. Mention to your friends as well, about it. And I'm doing my best to try and share my knowledge with my brothers and sisters, my knowledge, what I've done on the Islamic Studies course that I done. And marriage at the moment is very, very important. Marriage, and in a time like this, it is very important. And then you get the divorce. So I'm trying to help my brothers and sisters in sharing my knowledge with them, in order to maybe solve the part of this problem. Because we have a lot of sisters who are not married and who don't want to get married, and who shun polygyny. Maybe because they've heard stories, of other people, or they personally don't like it. They've read the Quran, they've probably not understood what the verse, talks about and everything. So for them, it's a taboo. And this is why I'm trying to go to so many things to show you that it is not a taboo, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with all his wisdom made it halal, and he would not have made it halal if there was anything wrong with it. Yeah. That's why I keep repeating that every time. Allah is so wise. Allah is so great that He would not have made something bad for any of His creation. And the Prophet ﷺ is so great as well that he would for his ummah he would not have allowed them something like that. Yeah. So this is why I keep going back to these things again to kind of try and share my knowledge. So yeah, so we've gone through sharing finances. The woman may think that the amount of money and the number of items he gives to his new wife is an indication of his desire or love for her. Like I was saying, now, that first wife now maybe has had one child. She cannot give children anymore, or the children have grown older. They've left and don't need them, any sustenance anymore. They're married or whatever. So he's now giving her certain, and he takes on a new wife who maybe has children herself or from different marriage, whether she's a widow or whether she's like a divorcee. That's what brought me onto the subject of the divorce and everything. So the fact that she may have more children than him, he might need to spend more on her. Yeah, he might have taken a house, for example, and now it has to be bigger than the one he's currently with, because the one he's currently with now, the children have grown older, and they're not going to need that many rooms that they have in the house. So they decide to move into a smaller house. They move into a smaller house because that's what she needs. See, it is still making fairness and justice, because she's been given what is equivalent to what she needs. Yeah. Not because, the other one you've given a 4-bedroom house, you have to give that one a 4-bedroom house as well, even if she's not using it. No, it has to be relative to, what she needs. And like I said, like it says here on the book now, when he gets married now, and the new, what he gives to the new wife is maybe indicative to the first wife of his desires and love for her. Maybe he thinks now he loves her more than me because he's given her a bigger house, or he spends more money on food for her, not realizing that is the need, that is the need of the time now, because the woman is the new wife has and it says here she might also become concerned about his ability to provide adequate support for her and her children. Now that makes the wife think, now if that side's got 3 kids and I've only got one kid or 2 kids left or whatever, is he going to be able to provide for her and her children? Yeah. So anyway, next one, sharing goals often makes the woman feel threatened that goals discussed in the past or her goals will no longer be important, and that her opinion will be worthless to the husband when making a decision about family goals. Now, all families have goals. You've reached a certain point, you got married, and you have goals, and you've discussed all these goals and everything, and now he's taken a new wife. Now, the first wife gets worried. What would happen to my opinion? Is he going to value my opinion? Is he going to, are we still going to have the same goals as we have as we had before, the decisions that we took before? The woman may also feel that the new wife will result in major changes, such as relocating or the husband's behavioral habits, sexually, financially, dietarily. Now, talking of dietary, a lot of times you see now in this day and age, a lot of sisters are into health consciousness, so you get married to a new wife and she wants to change your pattern of eating. This is this we're going to healthy eating, whereas before the wife that you were married to, she was a good cook, she would cook for you and everything, and spoil you and stuff like that. Now this wife now gets worried, he's going to stop me from eating this now, because now this new wife is what's her name, more health conscious, and alhamdulillah she's looking after him or whatever, but he's going to change his habits now. He's going to change his diet, dietary habits, so she's worried about that. Thus, We have explored the woman's nature and section different parts of polygyny and connected them with corresponding emotions, actions to create a clear picture of why the woman may react to polygyny negatively. Although it's no excuse for the woman's nature, although it is no excuse, the woman's nature plays a major role in how she perceives polygyny. Proceedings Proceeding further brings the question of how and when she moves past her negative behavior and feeling. Timeline for healing. The timeline or stages for emotional acceptance of polygyny can typically be divided into 3 stages. Period 1, separate periods, sorry. Phase 1, depression. Phase 2, self anger, self doubt. And phase 3, growth change. Okay, these phases actually are separated by their primary emotional quality, and most result of broken into which emotions, effects, roles, and verbal or physical manifestation are displayed or left. Although there is no set order to the expression of these phases, generally it was found that women experience the first phase before other phases, and that women who seem to have more iman and taqwa experience all phases in shorter time length. So it is worth being said that these women who are stronger in their deen would be more likely to go through these stages with a minimal amount of damage. Now as we're talking about the woman's psyche, yeah. So obviously we're going through that, and we have mentioned before how, like, she has to the, increase her iman and act upon this with deen and with iman and taqwa, rather than, like, cause fight, and then, like, also divorce and everything, and how the rewards that Allah has set aside for her and everything. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, like, in hadith, how, this is an easier way for her to attain Jannah by being patient and that, So we've been through that, and I keep repeating it every time, because a lot of sisters don't seem to think of it that way. They seem to think of it that Allah has allowed it to, Allah has allowed it, according to them, for the pleasure of man, which is, like, questioning Allah's wisdom, then not agreeing that Allah is all wise, and, like, He's created that for them. So a lot of sisters seem to kind of fall in that. We're on the 1 hour mark, and we've covered a lot today. And the other thing is that I'm fasting as well, so it is difficult because the throat gets dry, but it doesn't matter anyway. Let's carry on. Phase 1, depression. Phase 1, letters A to G, is the initial reaction. The woman is flooded with new and intense emotions, usually resulting in depression. During this time, it is made clear to her that her husband wants, will, or has acquired another wife. Okay? So phase A, emotion, shock, caused by the violent or sudden emotional disturbance, in this case, caused by finding out her husband's desires. So, like we mentioned before, that, like, the husband doesn't need the wife's permission. He can just come home and say to his wife, "Look, I've taken another wife," and, like, she has to accept it. Yeah, he doesn't need to come to sit there. I mean, some do. I mean, if the wife is always is on board, but, like, sit down and ask the wife, "Oh, can I get your permission? Can I get your permission? I need to take another wife," or whatever. No. So initially, it causes emotional disturbance, finding out that the husband's desire. Effect: the woman may experience a range of emotions and moods, but typically including numbness and disbelief. Role: short-lived, the woman moves quickly into the other more dominant emotions. Okay, now this is a short-term depression that happens to us when she gets the news. Like she sits down, thinks about it, has feelings, has this, is that. This is what the sister is saying now. It should move on now. It moves on fast. Yeah, short-lived. It shouldn't stay with the wife like for years and months and whatever, causing problems or whatever. No, this should be short-lived. The woman moves quickly into other more dominant emotions, verbal manifestations. How could you do this to me? Why all of a sudden? Why now? You didn't want this before. What have I done to you? Don't you love me anymore? Now, let's go through these. Let's go through these emotions. Yeah. How could you do this to me? I mean, he hasn't done anything to you. Yeah. This is his right that Allah has given him, and he's just exercising his right basically. And he hasn't done anything. It's not you. Why all of a sudden? All of a sudden because there's a need for it. Yeah, maybe you have changed your love habits. You have changed your love languages. You've changed your way of acting towards him rather than giving him what he wants. You have become. And I did mention last week, I think, or the week before. Sorry, last week we didn't have a session, but there were stages, that gave the man the wise. When he gets married, his wife is in. This is something from Allah. There's nothing he can do about it, but she's always in her period once a month or whatever. And if he's a man who's active, that may not be enough for him at the time when she's in her period. Then when she gets pregnant, she's got different pains and different what's her name that stops her. She doesn't want intimacy anymore. Whatever. She doesn't. She's not sharing the bed or whatever and stuff like that. So, and then after she's had children, she devotes her time to her children, and he's getting more wanting attention, wanting more what that kind of thing, and wanting to share his affection, and his wife is not giving him. So why all of a sudden is because the time the time and why now? Why now? Because the time all this time you got married, you got pregnant, children came into the life. You devoted your life to the children, and after the children grew up, now you fell into menopause, and you're not fulfilling your husband's rights. So that answers the question. you know why now? You didn't want this before. Yeah, because maybe he was building his career, and maybe before you were kind of providing him love, providing everything, and suddenly now he doesn't get it. He doesn't get what he wants. You didn't want this before. Okay, what have I done to you? Nothing, sister. Normally, generally, you wouldn't have done anything. It's not because he doesn't like you. It's not because you've done something wrong or whatever. It's because these phases have gone through, these phases in life, and as these phases go through, the man feels that he needs some company. You don't give him enough company. I'm not saying that it's your fault. Now what have I done to you doesn't mean that personally, these things are things that happen. You're getting your period is something that from Allah. You get pregnant, that is from Allah. Children come and everything, but we have to remember that a marriage is a couple, not one. Okay, so if it's a couple, both of them have feelings, both of them have emotions, and when you're having your feelings and emotions, your husband is having feelings and emotions. Okay, so we cannot kind of count him out and count oh, he's done something wrong to me, and what have I done to deserve this, whatever. Don't you love me anymore? Of course he does. This is why I keep saying, I keep pushing that brothers, before you take another wife, make sure that you show your wife so much love. Make sure that you show her that you still love her. It's not because you don't love her that you're taking another wife. It's for several reasons. Okay. And okay, now the next phase now is physical manifestations, uncontrollable crying, yelling, hitting, and silence. Okay, it happens. It happens to many people. That, like, when she starts crying, yelling, now she might end up hitting you, and then, silence. She doesn't talk to you. Okay, so now the other phase, in phase one, we've done A. Now we go to phase B. Now we're studying the psyche of the woman and dissecting polygyny. That's what the subject is. That's why we're going through these now. Emotion, feeling betrayed. The woman will feel as if she's been failed and deserted by her husband. Obviously it's a natural feeling, and she shouldn't, because the Sahabiya didn't feel that way. They didn't feel that they were being deserted. They knew the Quran, they knew the Hadith, and they knew that if, like, another sister, another Sahabiya's husband died, the husband was bound to have that in mind, to take her as a wife. Effect: the woman may feel defiled by her husband, in whom she has placed her trust, hope, and belief, love, because of the enormity of truth, or the complex subterfuge, or the completeness in which the truth was given. The pain now can grow huge. Role may continue until the middle or end of phase 3. You see, so there's different phase now. The issue of this emotion now may continue until the middle of or end of phase 3, the period of growth. Verbal manifestations: I trusted you, you lied to me, you used me. If you loved me, you would not do this. Leave. Okay, so now you find that, like, she gets to the point now where, I trusted you. Yes, you trusted him, and he trusted you as well. But again, like, we have to see, well, what's happened in the course of life. I trusted you also, meaning that maybe there was no communication in the marriage. Communication is very important, that you speak about it, and you mention, you lied to me. You lied to me. Maybe the husband told the wife, you are my only one, and, like, I don't want any other wife but you. And then it happens that, like, he takes another wife. So that, or maybe she was on board, and then now she's not on board anymore, and then she turns up and says, you lied to me, you used me. Yeah, if you loved me, you would not do this. No, again, that's not true. He still loves you. He should still love you. Although there are many brothers who get married to sisters, and they show contempt to them, and, like, they don't love them anymore or whatever. That shouldn't happen. Physical manifestation is intense anger, fear, and exhaustion. Okay. Now we get to C. Okay. Emotional denial. This stage is typically the eye of the storm. The woman will deny the situation and continue life as usual. Okay. Effect: she's more likely to be nervous and anger easily, but she will ignore what has transpired. Role: short-lived. She cannot continue to lie to herself that everything is okay. So everything is not okay for her, but she's kind of like, everything's okay, let me carry on with life, whatever. Yeah. She's short-lived. Verbal manifestations: you are playing. Stop joking. I know that I angered you, but you don't have to do this. I'll be better in the bedroom, so you won't have to do this. You are not going to do. You're not going to do this, and I don't want to talk about it. So a lot of times, sisters think that, when the husband says, like, he's going to take another wife, or, about he's taken another wife, that he's playing, he's joking, he's not serious. I know that I angered you, but you didn't have to do this, like, so she's not taking it seriously. Yeah, I'll be better in the bedroom. Now she'll be better in the bedroom. All this time she wasn't, like, she wasn't taking it for granted. But now, I'll do better in the bedroom, so you won't have to do this. Okay, you are not going to do this, and I don't want to talk to you about it. That's it. Stop talking about it. So, see. Physical manifestation, excessive sleeping, silence and mood swings. Okay, now we're on 1:14. We'll have another 15 minutes and then we'll end there because I usually like to take it to 1 hour and a half. And again, I'd like to ask you to like, subscribe. I know it's long. A lot of people's attention span is very, very short, but this is educational. And when you're sat in a class and the dars is going on for an hour and a half, and it's the knowledge that you're picking up. If it was just things that we can do in shorts, 5-10 minutes, then I would do it that way. But it'll take a long time, and there's a lot to cover, so we cannot do it in shorts. We have to do it in long periods. Yeah. So you are learning something from this, and I hope that it does benefit you in your life, when it comes to issues of polygyny and everything. And I hope you can share it and move on, kind of thing. Okay, so D now. We move to D. Emotion rage. The loss of self-control during intense emotional onslaught. The effect. During this stage, the woman will experience an acute sense of rage that will usually be uh, uh, acted out physically, feeling like a cornered animal. She would lash out to hurt the one who hurt her. So according to her now, her husband has hurt her, so she will get violent and this is where you know when we talk about the verse of non-Muslims say, that you're allowed to beat your wife or whatever, and the verse which mentions that when the wife gets out of control, call in the speak to her first, and then not share her bed, and by that stage you would have decided whether the marriage continues or not. Now, not every polygamous situation brings to that point. It may be that straight away she wants a divorce, or she may accept it or whatever. Yeah. So she feels that physically, like a corner that, and she wants to lash out. Role short-lived. This stage is short-lived because the woman cannot maintain the level of emotion required to maintain the feeling of rage. Verbal manifestation, cursing, irritational words, and screaming. Okay, physical manifestation, irritational actions, hitting, throwing objects, and uncontrollable tears. Again, that verse that I just mentioned. Yeah, nushuz, the nushuz, the nashaza, the discord. Yeah, the verse actually applies. What the non-Muslims don't realize is the verse is not telling you get out of bed in the morning and just for a simple your wife didn't cook your breakfast or whatever, and you lash out and beat her. No, it is when the wife is out of control. She started throwing things, you've said to her, for example, what me mentioned in the last stage. you know um she thinks you're joking or whatever, and she starts apologizing, or then in this stage now, no, she goes crazy. She wants to kind of fight and throw things about and whatever, and this is why you have to control her. And this is why now the verse says that talk to her, do not share her bed, and if it reaches the point, then you hit her with a miswak, according to the hadith, is with the miswak. Anyway, going into the verse. I'm just kind of relating it to that. Why that verse mentions that, whereas the non-Muslims, when they go to the verse, they kind of pinpoint that thing, wife beating. Islam allows wife beating. No, it doesn't allow wife beating. There's so many stages that it tells you go through first before you can get to that stage. And the reason is the irrational behavior, the hitting, the throwing objects and everything. That's when it applies. It doesn't apply for just you wake up in the morning and your wife brought you coffee, and coffee doesn't taste good or whatever, you're going to lash out and beat her. No, that's not how it goes. Yeah, just wanted to touch on that. Yeah. Emotion. This is I. Now we move to I. no, not I, sorry, emotion, extreme hurt, sadness. As reality finally begins to set in, the hurt will become an overwhelming sadness effect. For the woman in this stage, in which she will take a baby step towards coping with the situation, each thought related to polygyny will cause mental and emotional plan. Role, the feeling of hurt and sadness will continue throughout the healing process to various degrees. Verbal manifestations: I can't take this anymore. I want to leave. Divorce me. Why? Why don't you leave? Why don't you leave me anymore? Why don't you love me anymore? I didn't do anything to you to deserve this. Leave. Okay. So now she starts going into the point of, like, talking of divorce and this and that and the other, and she can't handle this anymore or whatever. Physical manifestation: loss of appetite, excessive sleeping, silence, quick and sudden mood changes, uncontrollable tears. Okay, we'll go through F and G, then it will bring us into phase two. Okay. So we'll finish that so that we can start a new phase next week. Remember, this is educational here. I'm doing this to educate our brothers and sisters. So that's why we go into formal, steps and everything. And I'm going through the book to. I'm learning a lot of this myself as well. This is to me as well. This is very useful to me and very useful to, like, our brothers and sisters. Who are watching. You may not be watching. Some people might not even be interested in the subject, and well, what am I going to do about polygyny? Not interested in it. But it's there, it's out there, and but anybody who needs any help, inshallah, it will be a help to them. And I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts my my part, accepts my part that I played, and that Allah gives me my hasanat for that. Anyway, we get to F now. Emotion, anxiety, caused by overwhelming sense of apprehension and fear, often marked by the physiological signs such as sweating, tension, increased pulse, by doubt concerning the reality and nature of the threat, and self-doubt about her capacity to cope with it. The effect: the woman will experience varying degrees of fear and apprehension over change and impediment changes to take place. Role will continue until the doubts and the fears are laid to rest or faced. Verbal manifestation: I don't know if I can do this. I don't want a divorce, but can't just leave. Don't say you love me. I know you don't. I will never trust you again. I will stay married to you, but I will never be happy. Okay. A lot of women have actually said that to their husband, that although I'll stay married to you, I'll never trust you again. I'll never love you again. I'll never love you like I loved you before. A lot of women take polygamy to be something like, against them, something personal against them, and a lot of husbands have made that mistake, that, like, they've showed the wife that, I'm going to bring in another wife because you don't do this, because you don't do that. No, that's not the reason why you should be bringing in another wife. Now you see that, like, it says here, I don't know if I can do this. I don't want to divorce, but can't just leave. She knows, some women knows at the point that, like, she cannot just leave. Yeah. There's things that, like, will stop her from leaving. She'll break up her marriage. This is the reasonable way of addressing it. I don't want to divorce, but I can't. But can't you just leave? Can't you just leave? So it's contradictory here. Yeah? I don't want to divorce, but can't you just leave? In that case, you want a divorce, then. Yeah. Don't say you love me. I mentioned that before. That husbands have to show their wife love before they do this and whatever. And I will stay married to you, but I'll I will never be happy again. Anyway, physical manifestations: loss of appetite, nervous and jumpy, uncontrolled tears, contradictory feeling of wanting to be touched and wanting to be left alone. We move to G now, the final part of phase 1. And next time we will move to phase 2. G, emotion lethargy. The woman will experience a state of being lazy, sluggish, and indifferent. Effect. This stage is represented in her energy level. She will tend to do not to do household chores, let the children run wild, and not lend to herself, not tend to herself as usual. Okay, role. No norm has been found. Amount of time spent on this stage will depend on the woman. Remember, this is a survey that they've done, research that they've done, and they found that there's no norm that has been found on this. And what I'm going through now is their research that they've done, the results of the research that they done. Some people might not understand what's going on here, but maybe if you go back to the previous stages, previous lessons, and try to understand what's going on here. So, verbal manifestation. I don't care. What does it matter? Yeah, I'm doing the best that I can. You don't understand what I'm going through. Just leave me alone. Okay, this leave me alone comes often. You see, she wants to be left alone. She doesn't want to go through this again. Physical manifestation, unkempt, dazed, remote, and distance. Okay, so we've reached this point now, page 85. Yeah, phase 2 will come next lesson. Inshallah, next lesson will be before Eid, next Saturday. So we'll have it in the morning again, and then after Eid, we'll go back to the usual evening sessions. Yeah, and hopefully I'll be a bit more lively, a bit more. I'll have my water and whatever next to me, so I can quench my dry throat at the moment. But anyway, I hope this has been useful to you. And if you want to go back and rewind and go through the stages, the thick stages are very important. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually banned certain things. He banned alcohol, he banned muta'a because of the badness of it, and yet he didn't, out of his wisdom, didn't ban polygamy. If polygamy was bad, he would have polygyny. If polygyny was bad, he would have banned it, just like he banned others. But he made this one permissible and those ones forbidden. Why? You have to sit down and ask yourself that question. Why has he made this? If it was so bad for you, if it was so bad for the women, well, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it permissible while he made the others not permissible? He could have banned this as well. Okay, fine. It's not good for the women. Not good for the man nor the woman. We're going to ban this as well. So you have to sit down and think about it. I brought this in this lesson. This should have been the first lesson actually. That part should have been in the first lesson to actually set the stage. But it reaches to there. So anyway, I hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. Trying to make you think. Yeah, trying to make you think that out of Allah's wisdom, yeah, if it was bad, He would have forbidden it. Now, why do you think it's bad when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His wisdom doesn't think it's bad? Okay, so I hope I've made sense, and I hope that you've benefited. If there's anything wrong that I've said, please forgive me, and please make dua for me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me more knowledge that I can share with you. And anything good you got from this is from Allah. Yeah, and I hope that Ramadan goes well for you. Please remember me in your du'as. I need a lot of du'as at the moment. I'm going through a few things, and please make dua as well that I pass my courses that I'm doing to become a marriage counselor. Maybe, who knows? We can cross paths if you're watching my shows and reading what I've mentioned, the books and everything. And if one day you need me, maybe I could be one of these persons who can help you in whatever life, in discussing polygyny or whatever. So make dua for me that Allah make me pass my exams and whatever. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and I'll see you next week inshallah. In the meantime, Ramadan Mubarak, and next week I'll schedule the time inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.